one scenario around all of this change is that targeting might become limited to broad cohorts, without being able to identify individual users and their behavior. The result of that may be broad cohorts for targeting. So I'm wondering, is that going to have a material impact on ad creative and the user experience of advertising? Maz, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I think so. Having worked in programmatic for a few years now, I think kind of I'm used to working with and kind of dealing with the kind of SKU level remarketing ads that a number of people have seen and kind of a lot of consumers engage with. I think that level of kind of one-to-one remarketing or kind of personalized ad experience will change. I don't think it's going to be possible to be able to identify someone who looks at product A and then delivers them, a one-to-one kind of ad with that kind of individual product. What I think will happen as things kind of move on is we will continue to see things like product level creative and product level marketing, but just on a cohort level. So, I think over time, the algorithms that we run activity on will naturally optimize to things that are getting either a lot of eyeballs or getting a lot of conversions, because that's how those kind of systems work. And I think we can start to be a bit smarter with how we're pushing certain products based on potentially something that needs a bit of more of a push and it's not naturally getting those conversions, or for, if we work kind of a bit more smarter with some advertisers, some of the products that have potentially a higher profit margin than others. So I think feed-based product level marketing will still exist. It's just, it would, instead of it being on a one-to-one level to a user, it will probably be served to cohorts of audience groups.
I might put you on the spot now, so be warned. You're quite naturally talking a lot about the perspective of the advertiser and the marketer, but I'm just interested to know how you think this is going to be perceived by the user on the end of it all. Is it going to feel different? What you're saying, you're kind of saying it can still work and be a bit different, but you're thinking about how we run the ads. I'm just thinking about the user.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So Maria touched on something in her answer earlier around how we kind of need to be careful about how we approach that personalization with users, and I think if anything, this will actually make the marketing that we do feel more natural and feel more relevant. As in, there was always this concern when somebody went to a website, visited a product, and then found that kind of product chasing them, around a number of different kind of websites. That didn't quite feel that natural, and lots of eyebrows were raised with that. What we're doing instead is we're actually saying if someone is interested, or if there's a group of people that are interested in certain categories of a product, or a certain category that product falls into, we can serve to them relevant marketing that is related to that kind of category, but not necessarily exactly the product that they put in their basket 2 days ago that we want to kind of push them through to convert. So it feels like the shift for the consumers will be a healthier, more natural one, because it's kind of going back a little bit to traditional type of marketing where you kind of treat audience groups and segments as cohorts. So it feels like it will kind of shift towards a bit more of a natural fit. But again, it really depends. We're kind of looking 2 years ahead at what we think will become available, and what we think will be we won't be able to do when it comes to that kind of SKU level remarketing. So that's kind of a prediction for what we can do.
Yeah. So Maria, I just want to come to you now, because it's really a completely different way of targeting. But one of the ideas that comes up in this conversation is about contextual targeting, and I know you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because just because one way of using data is not going to be allowed, there's so many different ways to use data and use data signals, and kind of basing it upon someone's browsing history and exactly where they've been. It's definitely not the only way to get to a relevant person with your ads. So I don't think it's going to be a massive loss in that way. And the way that we can do it with contextual ads, for example, is matching it up with what they're browsing. So the video content they're looking at or the articles they're reading, and matching the ads up to work with what they're actually interested in that moment in a way it's even more instant. Doesn't matter if they never read about a football team ever before. The fact that they're on that article today kind of is there's a relevancy there that you couldn't actually get from someone's history, which we think is an interesting one, especially when there's so much more interesting tools now for like using AI and these automated systems to kind of like scan and understand different environments. So there's a lot of opportunities that's being built out around that. And I mean, even at Croud, we have a tool called DaVinci where it's like scanning imagery and copy and sentiment analysis in real time. And it's like one door closes, but 1,000 doors are opening. And I think in these 2 years, we don't know what the other options will be. And I think even with that thing of not being able to target someone who's put something in the basket and then forgot about it, it might not be possible for people who have not opted in for it. But the way you log into Amazon and you see all the things that you put on your wish list but haven't really committed to, obviously means that depending on the user behavior, these things can still go on, but it just will need a bit more consent and control.
DaVinci was the code name of the project that developed it. Just for anyone who's browsing our website, looking for machine learning driven visual recognition, creative direction, it's called Creative Intelligence. That's the product. Sorry, Maria, I just thought I'd clarify. Okay, Anne, I know you had some thoughts on this one as well.
Yeah, I think like Maria and Maz's points are really good in terms of, I think, as we delve into this subject, it's important to keep in mind the time frame between like where we are now in reality and like Maria said, the 1,000 of innovations that are going to come out between now and then. I think when you talk about the idea of broad cohorts, my concern for certain advertisers, particularly those who don't have that the ability to use that product-led approach, even in the new world, as Maz mentioned, maybe they're a single offering or something which is more brand focused, that there could be the tendency to retreat back to more conservative, generic creative in the aim of making sure not to alienate any specific user who they might have been able to exclude in the past. But what they might find from that is that, although the top line metrics are good, while not offending anyone, they are inspiring no one. And I think finding a way for brands to be able to find a way to be able to advertise adventurously still in the new world would be really important. And I think those who are willing to, put their neck out and stand for something, whether that's through the tech they use and the techniques they use to implement some of these strategies that Maz is talking about, or just through investment in creative ideas and ideation to try and stand out within this cohort environment.